One really interesting part of the Utah missions is that almost none, I should say almost, because you do have a few, but very few of the missionaries in the Utah missions are from Utah. And several missionaries in other missions are from Utah. So because you're serving a mission in Utah, very few missionaries are from Utah. So you have, I think in a lot of ways, a wider diversity of kinds of missionaries and styles. And you see this in any mission, but I feel like we probably got a little bit more in our mission just because of that. And when I started my mission, I had a very narrow idea of what a good missionary was and what the strengths of a good missionary should be. But one thing I learned very fast is that God uses our strengths and focuses on our strengths, not our weaknesses. So we had some missionaries who weren't, perfectly obedient or perfectly, whatever, perfectly on time, perfectly knew the gospel, but they had strengths. My personal strength, I'm a cheerful guy. I'm a happy guy. I'm enthusiastic, and that was a strength that God helped me become more aware of, and that I was able to employ so that to gain the trust of members and to I think reach certain individuals who needed that kind of enthusiasm, that excitement. There were other missionaries that were not the most smiley all the time, or weren't the most high energy, high level people, or weren't the most extroverted, but who had sincere testimonies, or had a way with words, or had a excellent mastery and understanding of the doctrine, or just had the power to ask excellent questions. And honestly, that was so powerful. I had some companions who were somewhat, weak in some of those areas. Maybe they weren't as maybe well versed on lessons as I was, that kind of thing. But they had strengths, they had talents, they had the ability to talk about something that maybe even didn't seem related to the gospel, like a common bonding over video games. I mean, I remember there was someone I served with had that. And it allowed us to reach kind of in the heart of this person. And I think sometimes it was like, we're talking about video games. We can't do this. We're missionaries. But you know what? We reached that person. And we even used a few good examples of video games as far as the gospel goes. It was great. So I think the lesson I learned from that is, for me personally, recognize other missionaries of other strengths. When you get a new companion, ask the question, what is this person's strength that God has given them? Because there's a scripture in Ephesians 46 where it says, a gift of God is given to every man, and there's no one who doesn't have a gift. So we all have gifts, and it's just a matter of finding them and using them. I probably will not be the best as far as memorizing scriptures. We had one missionary in our mission who memorized hundreds of scriptures. I think his goal was to get to 1,000, and he got, I think, pretty close. But that's just never going to be my strength. But that's his. That's awesome. We're different. That's great. And so it's just a matter of find your strength, run with it. Don't dwell on your weaknesses overly. Although, of course, you want to develop them. As you try your best, you're going to develop them. That's what I learned on my mission. I was working with these amazing companions that we had really great different strengths. And I was even surprised. I had some goofball companions and knew some goofball missionaries who you're like, oh, that's not how a disciple should act. But what I learned was a disciple looks very different, based again on the strengths and the gifts of the Spirit that every person is given. You can have the goofiest missionary who, when the moment calls for it, will bear a testimony that will pierce to your very soul, and it's powerful. And it happens sometimes. Like, you're a dork. Did you really just help? Did that person really just respond that way? And it's great. And then there was parts where I'm like, I'm a dork. How did I do that? It's like God works through us. He really does. So again, look for the strengths in your companions. Look for the strengths in yourself. That's the key.